So the first thing you want to do is make a sketch, and I already made the sketch, but basically the way it is you're going to go first check all your planes and origins, see if they are visible. You can have the choice to make them visible or invisible, depending on your preferences. The units we're using is millimeters. So here's a sketch. I made a sketch in advance, and basically it's made by creating an elliptic shape here. You're going to click sketch and choose a plane you want to sketch on. So I decided to make it on this plane. Once you do that, you can just view the sketch you want to make, and you're going to get that choice here, create sketch. You're going to be given the options to make an ellipse, and that's what we did. We made an ellipse of 40 millimeters and 34 millimeters, having this rough shape, and then we created a circle, having this rough shape. And then what we did is we used trim to leave only the parts we want. So this part out here we don't really want. This part inside here we don't really want. And then we drew a line here to here, and another line from here to here, and trimmed the rest. What trim does is it cuts off sections of the drawing you don't really want. So we end up with this result, a kind of a quarter ellipse and a quarter half circle and a quarter circle, and what we're going to do is revolve that sketch. And to revolve the sketch, it's pretty simple. We go select the sketch identities we want to revolve, and we go to revolve here under create. It's going to ask us what profile we want to use, and so in this case we're using these two profiles, the quarter circle and the quarter ellipse, and the axis we want to revolve it on is this axis. And you have the choice to revolve it at an angle to a certain point or completely. Since we're using this as the body of the turkey, we're going to revolve it around 360-degree angles towards one side, and that'll be a new body operation. So once that's done, we have this body, and we want to be able to put stuff on this body for the turkey. So the next step is to create a new plane by which you can construct different identities on this body. So let's do that. Let's go to construct an offset plane, and we need to determine which plane we want to offset it from. And this gives us the option from these primary planes. So we can click and drag with our mouse our offset plane, and you can set a set distance like 60 millimeters, 70 millimeters. That's up to you. What I prefer to do, since I know I want it to touch this point right there, I'm going to set it to point, and it's going to set it exactly that plane on this point. And I'll show you why in a couple minutes. So we have this new plane, and we have the body. So now let's draw on it, on this new plane. We're going to draw and sketch. Just going to select this plane. And what we're going to do is we're going to make the collar for this turkey. How do you do that? Pretty simple. So you want to create a center diameter circle. And if this is the center of the body, the neck of the turkey should be somewhere up here. So let's go and estimate it around there. The width of the neck, 4 millimeters. And from that, we're going to draw this collar shape, this flower pattern shape around the neck. So to do that, it's just going to be an ellipse. Just click ellipse, and we're going to offset it from the center. So let's offset it from the center here. And how thick we're going to make it, we can make it as thick or thin as we want. I'd say for this one, let's make it 1 millimeter. And if you're not satisfied with the position it is right now, then you can click and drag the ellipse if you prefer, or change the parameters. What I want to do specifically is get this ellipse and move it. But since we defined it as being along the circle, it will only move along the circle. So let's try that again. Let's go back and we can trim the ellipse to remove it and then sketch it again. What we want to do is sketch in a way that will leave a gap between this midpoint of the circle and this outer rim. So let's sketch it. Let's sketch it there. And we'll make it, again, 1 millimeter thick. And this will be our frills, our turkey frills. We're not done yet, so we need to trim the inside of this ellipse that we're not really using. And let's also trim this. And to get the collar shape, what we're going to do is we're going to use a feature called circular pattern. And circular pattern, what it does, at least for a sketch, is you're going to select one feature from the sketch that you want to repeat all around this circle. So I click Objects, and the center point by which we're referencing this center object. And you can click and drag how many you want to use. And let's go up and say that we want to use 22. It's a nice even number. It's decent since they don't overlap that much, but that's your preference. If you want to add more, that's okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to refine the sketch by removing these overlapping sections. You can do that with trimming, or if you don't want to trim, you can just go back and edit your sketch. Go back and edit your sketch to undo the circular pattern. So instead of saying 22, let's say you want to have 21. It's fine. You can go circular pattern and select it again. Go all around, reference to the center point, which is this center circle point, and let's have 21. And those will be 21. As you can see, there's still some overlap. We can go even lower if we want. That's your preference, maybe 19. 19 sounds like a good number since there's no overlap. If there's overlap, don't worry. You can use the trim feature to remove these overlapping sections. If they overlap here, you can use a trim to remove this section. That way it doesn't overlap, but that's your choice. It's up to you. So we have 19 all around, and this is our sketch. What we want to do is finish the sketch. And the next feature we're going to use is modify, move, and copy. And specifically where we're going to be moving or copying is this body. So that's just where do you want to move it? Well, we really don't want to move it anywhere. What we want to do is create a copy. If you do want to move it, that's fine. What you do is you translate it horizontally. And you click Create Copy to make a new copy of the object. And I'll show you why this is necessary in a minute. So here we have two objects, two bodies, with the copy and the one that we moved. So now that we've done that, let's click OK. We're satisfied with that. And we're going to work on the frill, the collar frill of this turkey. And we're going to do that by extruding the sketch onto our copy of this body. So let's click our sketch, and we're going to do extrude. We have our sketch, which is our profile. Start with the profile plane, and directions will be one side. We can select the distance at which we want to extrude it. So right now it's cutting into the body. That's not what we really want. So we want to intersect. And what this intersection is going to give us, it's just going to give us the segments at which both this sketch and the body that we had before would intersect together. So that's what we want. And let's click OK. See, we're going to have this rounded shape where the body used to be, but it has a sketch of the flower pattern. And then what we want to do is we're going to select this plane. And we're going to create a surface offset. So under surface, we go to create offset. And we don't want to offset it right away. We don't want to offset it away from how it is right now. So we're going to leave it to 0. If we do offset it, it's going to create a new surface plane offset from it, but we want it exactly on that body. So once we create the offset, what we're going to do is thicken it. Thicken this feature, and this thickening feature is going to create the circular frills of the turkey. One millimeter. If you want to go 2 millimeters, that is fine. It's up to you. If you want to go bigger, I choose 1 millimeter. It's going to be a new body. And so now we have this surface offset and this body. And what we want to do is put them together. So we go to modify and we go to combine. Select our bodies and our that we want to fuse together. But since they're apart, we can't really do that. So let's move it again. Let's move this body again and put it back to where it was. Now we can use the merge and combine feature. Another tip, if you want to draw the turkey with the frills, you can. If not, you don't have to. But at least in this design, I drew it with a frill and a vest. So let's try to replicate that. And it's pretty simple. We just need to go back and edit the sketch we have for this frill to include a vest. So at the bottom here, you have a library tree, or a tree of everything that's been done with this object, or history. To suppress something, you can click and drag this icon and it will remove that previous feature. And to edit something, you just go double click with your mouse left, and it will open that feature for you to edit, or you can right click and click edit sketch to edit that feature. So what we're going to do now is, now we have this circular frill collar pattern, we're going to add a sketch for the vest. And the vest is pretty simple. let's say there. For the vest, just make a shape that would go all around this side of the turkey. There you go. So here you have the shape. You can edit this if you want, but the point is that you want it to cover the entire side of the turkey, like this. And we're going to add buttons to it. So let's add some buttons. 2 buttons. Yeah. Now we added the buttons, we can draw a line from here to there and use our trim function to remove the other half of the buttons. To remove this line as well. And this is important because we're going to use another feature called mirror. And what this is going to do is going to reflect whatever feature we had here, whatever drawing, onto our axis. So let's do mirror. So then it asks us what objects or what identities you want to reflect. I'm going to choose all these objects. Along which mirror line? This mirror line. And once that's done, we get our vest looking shape, and that will be a sketch reflected along the mirror line. So you could finish the sketch, and what that does automatically is just saves it. So what you want to do is go back and look at your extrusions. So for the extrusions, we can modify it to include this new extrusion of our vest. So what else we're going to extrude? All this, the entire vest. And so that vest is going to extrude onto the copy that we originally made. This would be the original, and this would be the copy. And this is going to intersect. To capture the buttons for the extrude, let's edit the feature and take away these center buttons because we really don't want those. So now we have the buttons. It looks like this. And we're going to make an offset for this vest as well. So let's go to our thicken, our surface offset, and let's click edit feature. And that edit feature is going to incorporate this sketch we originally made and the vest. We're good with that. So now we're going to thicken the vest. Click the vest and we'll thicken the vest. So once that is done, you can see we have a frill and a vest that are on this turkey. And now we can combine them. Combine these bodies. So we're going to combine everything into a single piece. This is what we have so far. What we want to do next is make the neck of the turkey, and to do that we want to draw a spline. So let's start by constructing a plane. And we could use this plane. So let's just sketch. Create a sketch. It's going to ask, what do you want to sketch? Alright, well, I want to sketch there. But I'm using it on this plane. So I'm going to use a fit point spline. Fit point spline, yep. And we're going to do it, try to center on this center point. Okay. So more or less, how does a turkey neck look? Starts here, then takes a curve, goes up, and then bends over. And once that's done, we click that icon. Then let's finish that sketch. And we have a sketch of our spline. What we're going to do next is we're going to sweep this spline. And what it does is create kind of like a pipe along this path. Single path, profile. What's this? Path is this. Okay, got it. So the issue is we can't have a profile because there's no profile to be referenced. So it's Fusion 360 is looking at it, it's like, okay, there's a path, which is this spline, but there's no sketch to begin with for me to begin this path. So what we want to do is when we make the sketch, we want to reference it to another sketch so that it knows where the profile begins. Let's go back to our sketch and edit sketch. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a new plane right here so that it intersects. And then we can reference that sketch. Construct an offset plane. Plane of what? Here. And to object, we're going to make it to object here. That's our object. So there you have it. We have our plane and we have our offset. And on this plane, we're going to draw a circle again. And what that circle does is going to be the basis for the profile of the spline. Right there. Finish sketch. There you have it. So once that is done, we can go back to our spline and sweep it. So the profile is asking us, what profile do you want? Well, I want on this profile. And along which path? This path. And you can have, there's your path right there. You can change the sketch if you want. As you can see, right now, our path does not look good in the sense that it's not connecting within this turkey. So you can edit the sketch, and you can also edit the plane so it can go deeper within this turkey. So let's do that. We want to join. Just to check our progress, we can make these planes visible. Make our sketches visible as well. Sketch 6. That one, sketch 7. That. So let's go to sketch 6 and modify that. Edit sketch. And so what that does, okay, we're good. So what we want to do now is move this spline sketch further into the turkey. And what that does is once we finish, it's going to reference it from the inside and draw the path within of the neck of the turkey from the inside, which is what we want. Okay, that's good. Just to reference our other one, this is the shape, more or less. Not too curvy, so let's go for that as well. Something that's short. That's good. And we can check. You can check whether it's centered or not, and you can modify it to your choice if you want to further centered on this fruit. So let's do that. Now it is slightly more centered, which is good. And that should be about right. A bit too high. If you don't get in the first try, don't worry. These things take practice. But once you learn it, it's fun. Okay, so here we have the neck. And now let's make the head. And the head is pretty simple. You just want to create a sphere. And to do that, let's make a sphere. Let's make a sphere right there. And make it 20 millimeters. I'm going to join it. So now we have our sphere, we have our neck. Let's start doing the face. That's good. Just for comparison with our other model. Alright. So to do the face, we can include the eyes. We need some eyes, we need a beak, and we need that. We need the hat. So let's start with the eyes. The eyes, it's also a sphere. So we can create a sphere. So as such, where you want to make the sphere, don't worry about it, let's make it here. So now switch plane, and you choose a plane. And if the sphere doesn't come out the way you want it, don't worry. For the dimensions I'm using 8 millimeters, and let's make this a new body. And the reason we're making this a new body is because we're going to be moving it. Since we didn't take the time to actually draw it exactly on the plane, we're just going to be moving it around and then merging it. So let's do that, click OK. And we're going to be making a new one, a new sphere. We have to remove this one. So let's move it, move this body. And we're moving it in a way that it aligns. So we can move in the Z, Y, X, move it down. We can move it to the left and right. That would be the X distance in this coordinate plane. And then this way, which is what we want to do. And to the right, to the left. So this is just working around with the numbers until you get it more or less where you want it to be. It's 5. Just to get an idea of how this one looks like. They are centered and kind of going into the sphere. So let's try to replicate that. I think that looks good. So we're satisfied with that. Let's leave it. And let's make our second sphere and then move that as well. So create sphere on this plane, and let's get as close as possible and just create the sphere. So we have our new sphere, and let's make this one 10 millimeters. So we're going to join them. And then let's make that 9. So go back to the feature. And then for this one, same procedure. We go and click move, and we're going to be moving it around, working with the values until we center it. Just to get an idea of how this one looks. Kind of centered, and then it's not bulging out too much. That's good. So let's click OK. And let's edit our sphere so we can make it just a little bit bigger. Click join. And here we go. Turkey. Now we start with the beak, and to make the beak, we're going to make a new sketch. Make a new sketch on our spline plane. So we just go create sketch, which plane, this plane right here, and then go drag it, make two lines, and these lines are going to be the lines that connect to make the beak. So let's start up here. Turkey's beak is short and stout, so let's try to replicate that. We're good with that, so now let's mirror this. There's our beak. Now let's revolve this. What do you want to revolve? I want to revolve that. I want to along which axis? This axis. So you get this feature, this revolve feature. And just going back on the other turkey, let's make it in a way that overlaps and touches the circles nicely. So this is our feature right now. We cut it. Let's go back and edit that to join. More importantly, we want to change our sketch. Let's edit our sketch. Let's edit this sketch. Let's go for that. Perfect. So this is just trial and error. You can edit the sketch until you like it. So it has that characteristic turkey shape. Other things you can do is you could probably change the eyes so it looks more centered. There you go. And that would make this much more easy to fit. Almost. How about that? Closer. Get in there. There we go. So we replicated that, and that's the beak. This is more or less how size and look like. And now we're going to make the squiggly thing on their beaks. And to do that, we're going to use a create form function. And we're going to start with cylinder. So what we're going to do is we're going to mold this cylinder in a way that that creates that more or less shape for the turkey, the beak of the turkey. But before we do that, we want to reference a new plane to make this form. So let's go back. Let's cancel this. So let's click escape. And let's construct a plane that is offset but level with the beak of the turkey. Show you in 1 minute how it works. Offset plane, offset to what? Primary plane, offset to this one. And how high do you want to offset it? Well, I want to offset it just high enough that it is level with the beak. So our beak is there. There we go. So let's offset it to 76. Nice. So we offset it, and now we can draw on this plane. We can also create and construct a plane to offset it here, which is probably not a bad idea. Let's do that. Distance, which plane? This plane, distance up to object, and the object would be let's make it distance. There's the distance. Once you're satisfied with that distance, click OK. So create two planes, and for that, let's suppress this, delete this form, and now let's make a new form. And to make our new form, we are going to click here, create form, and it's going to ask us, well, where do you want to make this form? Let's make this form there. A cylinder. Create a cylinder and then mold it into this face to the shape of the turkey. I'm not sure what that area is called. Let's get closer. Let's do 3. And it's going to give us a choice of how long we want to make this. It's obviously not that long, so let's make it shorter. I think it only reaches about that much anyway. And let's make it both sides. make it symmetric. There you go. And that way we can, that's good. So we're going to choose a cylinder with eight faces around, but also 8 layers of faces vertically. And we're going to make that a new body. How big we want to make it, we're going to make it 3 millimeters in diameter and 4 millimeters in height, which is good enough because that's more or less the length of the turkey beak. And we're going to click OK, but it does not end there. We're going to modify this by each ring, and let's start with the bottom ring. So before we do that, we need to make sure our selections are selected through all of it. And the reason why I select through all is so we can choose the ones in the back. If this is a ring, we want to choose the entire ring, not just only the ones in the front. So we do that. We go and then we mold this ring by ring into the shape of the beak. So we modify, and I just click modify. We go to selection options, and we click loop grow / shrink. In this case, we want to shrink it, and we want to shrink it in a way that it is 0. So see, that bottom ring, it got shrunk to 0. So now the bottom ring is now 0. Now let's do that with the top ring as well. Top ring, we selected all of it, great. So we're going to modify, select modifications, or select options, shrink, and then shrink to what? Shrink to 0. Shrink to 0. Now we're going to go ring by ring and mold it into this shape. So let's do that. Modify. We can move this upward. So let's move this one, this top ring, let's move it upward. And let's make it smaller. Move it upward. Maybe move it to the side a bit. Side this way. And close it so that it looks like it's being attached to the beak of the turkey. Then we can also put it offset at an angle. So select it again. Now let's offset it at an angle, and this will be just trial and error until you get it right, or until you're approximately the right shape, more or less, that you want to for this. And that's good. So let's do 0.20. So we go to the next layer, and we repeat the same process. In this case, we're going to shrink it. Yeah. So let's go next one. And the next one. So bottom of the barrel. Now we just create that teardrop shape, more or less. Finish it up. So that's exactly like you expect it to be. And just to see how it looks right now, let's finish the form. As you can see, it is intersected with our beak. So we want to horizontally offset it, move a little bit to the right here, so that I can see the shape beautifully. So let's edit this form, and what we're going to do is highlight all of this really much. Highlight all of that, and modify it in a way that it is horizontally offset. So we did that. Now we're going to horizontally offset this. And let's shrink this. You can shrink that now. Now it looks more or less like a turkey. Turkey snout. Just click OK. And let's finish form, see how it looks like. Much better. Much better now. So we're not done. We still have this top part here that's sticking out. So let's try so we can merge it into the beak. Let's go back and edit our form. There you go. So let's do the thing and look at it now. So I still kind of have this part hanging out. Let's work on that last part. Right there. Modify that. And let's bring it to the right. Let's bring it down. Let's try that. Still not quite there yet, so let's go back and edit it. Modify. And we'll bring it down further. How about now? Much better. So that was good. Now we have our turkey beak completed. Let's work on the hat. The top hat of the turkey is not that hard. What you do need, however, is a plane to reference it. So let's make it. Let's make the plane. Construct plane, offset plane. Which plane you want to use? Well, I want to use a new plane right there. How long do you want to offset it? I want to offset it just enough so I can touch here. Let's try that. Let's try that distance. So we're good with that. Click OK. And then we have a lot of planes here, so let's remove the planes one by one. And our most recent plane would be the one we just created. So now we're going to sketch on that plane. And what we're going to sketch is just a line, actually. Sketch on what plane? Well, that plane I want. And what we're going to sketch? We're going to sketch a line. Where's the line? Well, we're going to sketch the line right there, behind the back of the turkey. In this case, it went into the turkey, but it's okay, because we can edit the plane a little bit, so then we can work on that. Finish sketch, and then edit plane. Or edit feature. So this was 66, nearly too much, so 65, bring it back a bit, and now our sketch would be right there, just touching the edge, which is perfect, what we want. So now we're going to create the top hat, and to do that we're going to create a new plane at an angle. At an angle to what? At an angle to this line, of course. And we're going to make our angle 30, negative 30. Nah, let's make it 45. There we go. So there's our 45-degree angle, negative 45. And our plane is now sketching out of negative 45-degree angle to our line. And that's where we draw the top hat. We go to sketch. Sketch on what? Sketch on this plane. And we're going to create two circles. A center circle for the rim of the top hat, and another circle for the actual top hat itself. Let's finish the sketch, and let's extrude it. Extrude it this way. So we're going to extrude it 2 millimeters, and we're going to intersect. We're going to join them. And you can see there's still this halo here where the other one is, but that's okay. We can just make this either smaller, much better, yeah. So let's keep it at 1 millimeter, and then we're going to use this circle here to draw the other part of the top hat. Join them. Just to reference our other one has a thicker component. So if you want to, you can make this thicker. Let's go ahead and try it. Sketch is good. Let's edit this feature. Make this 2, negative 2 millimeters. There you go. And let's draw another sketch actually to make this circle. Sketch. Sketch where? Sketch on the plane. Which plane? Let's make them visible so that we can see it. There's a plane. Sketch on that plane. Once that's done, we're going to draw our circle. How do we want it? 15 millimeters. Let's do that. Looking at our other turkey, more or less same distance. We can make this a bit smaller, so let's make it 13. There you go. And that will be our top hat. Like this, click extrude. Extrude one, I'm going to extrude this. In which direction? In this direction. I want to incorporate this as well. There you go. So, however big you want your top hat, it's up to you really. Let's just stick with 10 for this one. And there you go. Top hat done. Turkey's looking good. So, the next step is we want to create the feathers for the turkey and the wings. And that's pretty simple. For that, you just need to make a sketch. And let's do that. Let's make a sketch. We're going to be using conic curves to make the wings. Just reference the other one. The wings also have this conical curve shape. That's alright. So once that is done, we're going to finish the sketch with more conical curves. In this one we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3. So now we're at 1. Let's make 4 more. If you want to click and drag it, make them a little bit steeper, that's totally fine. It's up to you to make that. So let me just add the last one. Curve from where to here, here to there, and that puts us at that. And let's just click and drag, do some editing there. But that's totally up to you, however you want to do it. Once you're satisfied with your shape, just finish sketch. You can also highlight everything and drag it. Which is what I'm going to do right now. Click and dragging it just to move it slightly above. There you go. And once we are satisfied with that, let's finish the sketch. And we're going to extrude it. We're going to extrude the center wing, and we're extrude on both sides. And we're extruding in such a way that when we align it, it will line perfectly through the middle. And we'll create the wings for either side. So let's do that. Extrude this way. And let's join them. Extrude that way. Well, let's make it symmetric. Let's change this to symmetric so that we can extrude it the same length for both sides. That's a bit too much. So let's go for 23. How about that? Still a bit. Let's go for 20. Too little. Oh, there you go. So 20 is just about the sweet spot. Let's go higher. 22. Where's our sketch? Still, okay, our sketch is there. So I don't know what happened. I guess it was deleted. Let's do that again. Extrude. Sketch. Symmetrically. And I think we agreed 22. I'm going to join them. And once that's done, we'll have a turkey with a vest and wings. Pretty cool, if you ask me. Let's put some fillets on this wing so it can look smooth and smoothened out. So let's click fillet and let's see how much we can fillet. We fillet 1, millimeter. Can we fillet more than that? No? Alright. So let's add more. Let's add it. It's this, so we can fillet it. Can we fillet these parts as well? Can we make them one? Okay, so apparently you cannot. The reason you cannot is because the fillet is too big, and mathematically it doesn't create the proper object. So if you can't fillet those edges, that's alright. You don't have to. Let's just remove that fillet and stay with this one, which is okay. So we have this filleted side. For the turkey. Well, I did wish we could fillet these edges. But if you want to, you can try your own time, work with it, and see if you can edit that feature to fillet. Now, we're going to create a mirror of this fillet on the other side. Mirror what? Mirror features. And we're going to click this fillet. And mirror plane is going to be along this plane. And that will fillet the other wing as well. Let's edit these features so we can see what we filleted. And if it doesn't work, that's fine. Let's just, you can use this suppress function, we're back, just remove it. And you can edit the fillet to incorporate the other one. Let's go back on this side and let's add this fillet. There you go, to make that 1 millimeter. So that's good. There we have our fillet. What's missing now is, just to compare with the other one, it kind of looks like this. So the filleting is different, and it has to do with the way these conical shapes are made, these conical curves. But you can work around with it, with the sketch and with the fillet, to see what works for you. Now we're going to make the tail, and the tail feathers. To do that, we're going to first create a tangent or an angle plane from this point. So let's construct that plane and angle to what? Angle to this. But before that, we need to construct a plane so we can draw the line. And we're going to select 2 objects and plane to what? To this plane, and to what object? To that object. And we know it's exactly 30 millimeters away. Now we're going to sketch on that plane. We're going to sketch our line. Sketch, plane, line. Where is it? There it is. So, sketch our line there. Does that have to be symmetrical? Don't worry about it. Finish the sketch. Now we can draw our offset plane at an angle. One line, that line. I'm going to choose, click and drag. We can choose, I would say, negative 25. Okay, negative 175. 65. That would be right. -65. If you want to go further, 45. That's going to be too short. Yeah, 55 is good. So we have our angle -55, 155, and let's sketch on it. So let's continue to make our sketch, and we sketch on what plane? The plane that was tangent. There you go. That's our tangent plane. Let's start by making ellipse. A big ellipse. How big? Very big. Like that big. How wide? Let's say 3. It's too short. 5. 10. Let's go 7. 7 is about right. So choose 7 and stick with it. Where's our sketch? It's over there. That's odd. So we can go back and remove the sketch, or redefine the sketch plane by which we were doing it on, which is really that one. So there you have our sketch. Click OK. The thing is, our sketch is now way over there. So let's go back and bring back the sketch to us. Let's edit the sketch. And let's change it a little bit. Make this sketch 5 and much longer. There we go. Now we're going to let's see, just for reference. The other one didn't reach his head. This one is way beyond his head. So we could make it smaller, but that's your choice. If you want a big feather turkey, then go for it. we want to have it centered, and that seems like a good distance to have it. Go down. There we go. Alright, so let's have it there. And what we're going to do is we're going to revolve it. And let's go to create circular pattern and select our object to revolve. And around which point, which is really this center point. Since we don't have it, this center point, there we go. So let's move our sketch. Let's cancel that actually and center this sketch so it's at our center point. Our center point is this radioactive looking thing. There we go. So now we can do the mirror, and let's get to the circular pattern on that. Our object and around the center point, which is this, we're given the option of doing full, but we don't really want that. We want it at half at angles. Either way, let's do angle, and it asks us, well, which angle do you want? Total angle is 180, but we want symmetrical in this case, and so it'll be symmetric to each side, and the total angle of that whole symmetry is 180. So that makes sense. As for how many we'll add, let's make it as much as possible. The choice is totally yours as to how many you want. I'd say 14 is a nice number to have. It will be symmetrical. 15. So let's try that. Let's try 15. Or if you want, you can make these smaller. Make the width for each ellipse smaller and then add more. 14. I think that sounds good. Let's go for 11. So we click OK, and then we have now this 11 ellipses, creating the tails of our turkey. Now comes the part where you finish the sketch and you extrude different sections of the sketch that you want. So we're going to extrude which parts of the sketch? This sketch, this, extrude all of that. And how you pattern the extrude is totally up to you. I prefer to alternate like this. So we're going to extrude these fins. Let's extrude them symmetrically. And we're going to extrude them symmetrically 2 millimeters. So 2 millimeters on each side. It's going to join. See? And let's try that. And then we're going to repeat the same process for our other fins. Both we're going to extrude them 3. Well, okay, so then we go back, look at our sketch, look at our construction planes. So, extrude. So what are we going to extrude again? This, particularly. going to extrude them 3. Just make it thicker. And then for these, now let's start taking these sketches. Except the most recent one, which we need. Same with the planes. So now we're working with these feathers. We're going to repeat the process. Extrude. And extrude what, you might ask? Well, extrude how far? Let's go for 4 millimeters symmetrically. And it's going to join. As you can see, slowly but surely, we're making the shape of the fins for this turkey, of the feathers. Now I'm just going to do it for the inside one. There we go, 6. And then for this one, for this inner shape, what we can do is, let's just select all of them and extrude all of that into a single shape. And let's do that symmetrically. Let's do it 5. And we're going to join them. So there you have it. There's a turkey so far. Let's see what else is missing. Ah, these frizzes. Okay, so let's get to those. We can do that, no worries. So let's edit this feature, and what we need to do is select these sections we didn't have before. The reason it's being a bit slower is because we have a lot highlighted in terms of the features we're using for this extrude. So it's taking some time to individually go through each section and include them. Let's put this back on. Alright, it's almost done with this section. Finally. And this section right there. Great. So that's all of it. Now we just go and edit it. In the future, just highlight all our objects that we want to include. We're just missing the distance. So in this case, I think we set it to 6.5 millimeters and joined it. Great. So that's done. That's how the back of the turkey looks like now. And this is how the turkey feathers look like as well. Pretty cool. If you want to make the contrast between the widths bigger, you could do it even more. Edit the sketch for these. Make them thicker. Or you can edit the sketch for these, make them smaller. That choice is yours. There you go. Okay, pretty good. So now we're missing the feet. And to get to that, we just click underneath this and start sketching. What we're going to sketch is on the bottom plane, the XZ plane, and let's do that. Sketch an ellipse. Say it's this, there it is. And say it's 6, 5. Yeah, that looks good. So now we're going to make that and then draw a line. And now we're going to mirror this ellipse on that line. Same exact ellipse. Now we're going to extrude this feature. Extrude symmetrically. So that it incorporates both angles, both sides. Or since we could extrude it 2 sides instead of symmetrically, because we want to extrude this deep into the body. Join it. but at the same time, we also want to extrude this not too far from the body here. 2 millimeters, that's fine. So you can leave it like this and then mirror it, but I don't really like the way this vest and this leg overlap. So let's try to see if we can move the sketch back. Let's go edit the sketch and let's move it in a way that it's behind this vest. So there we have it. Now we just need to mirror this extrude. And we select feature. There's our feature, extruded. And where's our mirror plane? Our mirror plane is actually, let's look for it. The mirror plane is actually this. And there's the other extrude. Good. So we created the bodies for the legs. These will be the supports. And on these supports, we're going to put the legs. So let's sketch on them. Sketch on this surface. And we're going to create a circle. And the circle is 4 millimeters. Let's do 4. And then let's draw a line. We can mirror that feature. Finish the sketch. And we'll be coming back to this later. But for now, this is enough. Now, we're going to create a new plane. A new plane that is offset to this bottom plane here. Let's do that. Okay. So there's our plane. So we're at the bottom there. Let's adjust this extrude a bit. Edit feature. Just a bit so we can extrude this 1 millimeter in the bottom. Cool. So now we have our plane that is at the bottom there. We're going to do a sketch on that plane, and let's sketch on that plane. What we're going to do is we're going to create an ellipse. And with that ellipse, we're going to make an angle here. We're going to mirror it, not mirror it, circular pattern. Here's our object, and our center point is this one. And we're going to choose an angle at which you want to mirror it. Or if you don't want to do that, you could do symmetric and determine the angle, the total angle at which you make, which would be a 90 in this case. And there's 3 of them. So click OK. And that looks good. So now we can make the angle smaller if you prefer. Let's go back. total angle, let's say it's 75 degree angle. And now we have the legs for the feet, the feet for the legs. We're going to use a trim tool. So we can remove this and just leave the feet. Let's draw a mirror line again. And we'll use that so we can mirror it afterwards. We're still missing one more ellipse. And we can move this ellipse closer to the body, closer to our sketch, so then we can use it as support. That looks good, so let's trim it. Alright. And now let's mirror this entire feature, or this entire sketch, over our line. Okay. Let's extrude it. Finish your sketch, extrude. Extrude what? Extrude that. I'm going to extrude upward 2 millimeters. Or in this case, 3 millimeters. Let's try 3. And same thing here. And we're not done yet. We still need to do one more thing. And that last thing is we're going to draw a circle on this feet. Sketch on what? Sketch on this. So let's draw a circle, and our circle is pretty straightforward. It's just 4 millimeters. And there you go. Let's draw another circle. Or if you don't even want to draw a circle, what you do is just make a line here, and then use a mirror, the mirror function, to get your object, get your mirror line, and then have it on another one. That's done. So you create finished sketch. If you want to make your turkey legs larger, which I think would be appropriate, let's go to our plane and edit this feature and make it, in this case, I would say 17 or 18 away, negative direction. And that'll bring your parts closer, further away from each other. And the feature again, let's just make it 20, negative 20 millimeters. That looks good. And the last feature we'll be using is Loft. And Loft just gets the shapes of 2 profiles and connects them. Look at that. Done. And we're going to click OK. And we're going to do Loft again. Or you can choose to mirror using the feature, the mirror feature tool. Let's make our sketches visible. There we go. Okay. And there's your turkey, man. That looks pretty good. So now let's make all points visible. I'm gonna remove them. Collapse this. Collapse that. And here we go. Just for comparison, this was my first draft. It's a little bit shorter. You can adjust it however you want. And this is for you guys. To finish this product, you still need to select the entire component and combine them. So that will join all those components together and make it a single shape, including the eyes, piece, legs, and feathers. So with that done, what we can do now is we can give color to these properties, to these legs. Select here, give us a color. Plastic, and Kapton. How's that? Looks good. So let's repeat that. Give us a appearance, make it Kapton, and make this Kapton as well. Repeat appearance. We don't want to apply it to all of the surfaces, so let's undo that. And let's just keep this appearance. Cancel. Repeat this again. Repeat appearance. Repeat this for this face. For that face. For this face. For this face. And the bottom face as well. And we'll do this for the same thing. Just fill it in as you go. So that gives the color, more or less, of the turkey. Let's make this white. And on white, let's see. Would that work? And make this black. And make the buttons capped on as well. Make them, yeah, let's make them capped on. So we made the buttons, and let's go ahead and make this different color. Dark gray. That sounds good. No, metallic black looks better. Glossy, and then with black. Needless to say, you can play with the options if you don't like any ones shown here, and just choose one that suits your preferences. And glossy white for the eyes. Maybe glossy white for the shirt, turkey shirt. And for the body, let's go for a brown, if there's such a thing. Wood. Let's see. Paint. Let's see. For this one, let's try semi-gloss 3A cherry. I need to download it first. Alright, so we downloaded it, and then we just need to select it. Cannot be assigned to face level. Okay. Let's go with the beak then. Make that cap down as well. And make this red. Red painted. Download that as well. We want to apply it to this. Strange. So let's go up, change it to the bodies and components. Okay, so apparently it says it cannot be applied at the face level, so what we can do, one way to go around this, I think, is you just need to unmerge it. So let's undo this merge, or this combine, and what that does is it makes it separate bodies. And when they're separate bodies, you can then identify them as being as having that color. There you go. So that worked. Let's try it again for cat done. And this should work for the eyes. This should work for the hat. Let's see, what else could we add? Metallic. That's fine. There you go. So now let's try that again. Let's go to edit, repeat appearance, and then select this white one right there. Now we have the white one. Let's see if we can find a brown one for, alright. Repeat appearance. So let's keep this, put the black color here on the hat, and then we can work the face. There you go. Put the black glossy color on the hat. And now we can worry about this body. Let's make this cap on as well. Let's make this black as well. glossy black, and let's make this body, from work we have bodies. Let's make it chain stained dark semi-gloss. Keep. You can even go for a lighter color like stained light semi-gloss. That's totally up to you if you want to download it. I'm just going to experiment around. Keep. Nice. So now we have that color. Mahogany unfinished. Nice. Alright, so let's put a white color here. Make this a face, and put the white glossy finish here. That way it's kind of like the turkey has a vest on. If you don't prefer it, that's fine. You can put this on the body / components. Put this on. That's fun. Just put this one on instead. And then whenever there's not a surface component, or face feature, a face color, we just changed it with the turkey brown one. But we can do that. We can change these colorings on the feathers if you want. Something more lively. Let's get capped on here and put it on this feather. Change it to faces. That face is yellow. That face is yellow. And then this face is yellow. This face is yellow if you want. If you want to change it that way. And then let's make the inner ones let's make them orange. There you go. So something like that could be the shape of your turkey. Obviously, if you don't like it that way, you can change it however you like. Applying the material properties is just something you first need to look for in the faces. So you apply the face colors first, and afterwards you choose the body or components colors you want. So let's add these colors there. Nice. And you can even add this glossy black if you prefer. There you go. So that looks more or less like a turkey, how it's supposed to look like. The colors and stuff. Let's see if I added all the black ones. All the black colors on the inside. Still left some, that's alright. Two faces. So if you want to, you could repeat that same pattern in the back, but this looks nice. You could leave it as it is and still be satisfied. Now, one thing I want to talk about next is, let's close this, is the rendering, how it would look like. So to do that, we just render it, and the rendering just, what it does is creates a virtual studio for your object, and in this virtual studio, you're gonna see the turkey. There's a turkey, and you're gonna create the lighting. We're gonna work on the lighting and the setup of how the actual properties look like. So let's look at appearance. You can work on your brightness, change the brightness of the setting. We're gonna leave it how it was. The background environment, yeah, let's give it a good environment. Change the focal length. Let's keep it at 90. So we're not really gonna touch those. What we are gonna work with is the environment library. You can change the studio, kind of like this virtual studio, where you see the turkey. And there you go. Change to soft light, warm light. I like this one, so let's stick with that one. Use sharp lights, looks good too. So with this, you just kind of play with it and see what works for you, what kind of brings out the colors in the objects you want to render. And once that's done, you just save it. You just click this render button, and you have the option of choosing between free and paid options. We're just going to do the basic option. And you can see it's going to take some time down here at the bottom, how long it is to render it. What we're going to do in the meantime is we are going to capture this image, which is going to just kind of take a screenshot of this working space you have here with the image. It's going to ask you how you want to save it as, and do you want to save it to your cloud. So yeah, once that is done, once this rendering is done, then the turkey will be completely finished to the colors you wanted to, and within the virtual environment you wanted as well. With that, thank you guys for coming, and I'll see you in the next time.